What?
Mhm.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? I'm Jamie, and I am here with someone that I hold so near and dear to my heart, my good friend Maria. Maria is featured in the Soul to Sisterhood book. She is one of our 38 goddesses in our 38 stories. And I can remember the very first moment that I met Maria. I was not shocked, but I was stunned because I had this gorgeous, wise, intuitive, and just extremely talented in a multidisciplinary way woman standing in front of me. And I knew at that moment that this woman was going to make a huge impact, not on my life only, but on the lives of many. And she surely has. So without any other hesitation, I am so excited to invite all of you to get to meet my good friend, Maria. And I can't wait for you to read her story in the Soul to Sisterhood book. And today we're going to talk about a few of the pearls of wisdom that she shared within her story. And we're just going to kind of expand on those and just let the conversation go where it needs to go. Hey, Maria.
Hi, Jamie. Hey, thanks for the introduction.
I mean it. I'm not just saying that. I remember that day in the theater, the first
Oh,
time I met you.
that's wonderful. Thank you.
You're
It's
welcome.
such an honor to be here.
Oh,
This
thank
is
you.
very
Well,
special.
we've been friends for several years now, about what,
Several
5
years.
years now?
Yes, at least. Yeah, at least 5.
Yeah.
Yes.
And through those 5 years, I
Mhm.
have had the pleasure of witnessing you just bring so many beautiful things into your life that you in turn are sharing and bringing into the lives of others, some of which you already were an expert in, some of which were
Mhm.
brand new. So
Yes.
I'm going to turn it over to you. And like I said
Mhm.
before we hit the record button, please sing out your praises and tell us all of the wonderful things that you bring.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. I think since we met, I was at the time mostly embedded in the world of the arts and theater, which has always been one of my languages, right? I speak the world, the language of the arts and theater. And, I've done it for entertainment, but I've also done it applied. So applied theater using theatrical tools to learn about being the actor and the protagonist of our own lives, right? And so whether I was studying that and researching for my graduate program or then teaching other people how to use actors and non-actors, how to use theater to become their life's protagonists. So that was the world I was mostly embedded in until I discovered Reiki. And being a student of life, I'm like, I need to understand how this works. And I'm like, I want to know more about it. So I had to take all the courses available. And then I became a Reiki master. And that opened up a whole other area of my life as I then stepped to become my life's protagonist and to decide the journey of my character in this life, where I wanted to go, realizing that I could play multiple roles because I was already always playing multiple roles, right? I'm a daughter, a sister, a wife, a friend, a patient, a client. We play different roles all the time, and we dress accordingly for all of them. We use a specific language for all of them. We have different social status depending who's in the scene with us. And I wanted to explore what other characters can Maria become, right? And Reiki opened up that opportunity, and I really started at the time placing a huge focus on my self-care because I've, since early on, it's always been clear that, like my desire to help others and to guide people, if I can't do this to myself first, then I cannot be there for others, right? It's just the airplane mask. Like if you don't take care of yourself, like you always have to put the oxygen mask on you first before you help others. And that really became something that I pursued after I became a mother. I was very clear that like, I can't take care of other humans if I don't take care of myself first. So I went on a journey and did a meditation retreat in California at the Topper Center and fell in love with meditation because even though I had experimented with it on and off, it was the way it was presented to me, the language of meditation and how it was presented really resonated with everything that I was doing in theater. right? The idea that in theater, I knew we play multiple roles, but we are not the roles we play, we're the player. And in meditation, we have multiple thoughts, but we're not our thoughts. We are the thinker of the thoughts, right? And so it was so similar, and it just combined perfectly. And I knew at that moment, I was like, okay, that's my next thing. That's the next chapter of my journey as a character. So I signed up for the teacher program, and I became a certified primordial sound meditation teacher through the Chopra Center. And that's been now, it's been a year. I believe it's been a year since I graduated. It's May already, so yes. It's been a year since I graduated, and I have been teaching officially their program, but then I also have expanded and taught other styles of meditation and meditation classes in general. And in the middle of all of that, as I was learning how to become a meditation teacher, I discovered, through one of the pillars that they teach you at the Chopra Center, I discovered Ayurveda, and that really got me really interested in not only learning more about that, but it really resonated at a deeper level. So even though I have no background or connections to India, being born and raised in South America and Brazil, always actually made me feel connected to a country like India. Whether it was in the weather, some of the similar plants, or their lives, and of course, religion and philosophy is very different. Like in India, people are used to sitting in stillness and meditating. All the great knowledge that we have coming from thousands and thousands of years. But there is something about India and Brazil that I always felt there was a connection, and it just resonated with me, through the love of herbs, through all the other tools that Ayurveda offers. Ayurveda is the science of life. For those who don't know anything about it, it comes from India. It's a sister science of yoga and meditation. It comes from the Vedas. And as I discovered, I knew that was the other tool I was going to bring to my life first, and then to my family and my friends, and then the larger community. So I signed up to another program, and officially in a week, graduating as an Ayurvedic health counselor after all these studies. And so those are some of the tools that I offer. I bring all of this together, the art of self-care, through really learning how to listen to your body and understanding all the different tools we have, and working in rhythm with nature and all the nature cycles, through Ayurveda, and then meditation as the art of looking at ourselves, and theater, the art of looking at human actions. And we putting all of those things together, you can change yourself. And then when you change yourself, you change the world. So that's really my social change action that I put in place, is by helping people become their life's protagonists and live their best selves. So I guess that is the summary of where I am now in terms of my journey.
Oh, girl, you are so inspiring. I love listening to you talk about all of these things that you're so passionate about. And one thing I want to touch on is listening to these varying areas of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
You've not only expressed an interest in, Maria, but you have found a way to become an expert in, right? So much so that you can not only embody it, but then you can in turn share it from that place of a learned wisdom, right? So many of the women that I work with, and myself included, it's so hard to actually tangibly find a way to ground and concretize those goals. How have you done that in the midst of everything that you've been doing? How have you managed to make it happen?
Well, I just I've always been a student of life, and I love learning. But today I could explain this to you and answer you using Ayurveda by understanding my unique body-mind constitution. One of the tools of Ayurveda is to understand who we are mentally, physically, and emotionally, using these energetic principles we call the doshas. And for people that have heard of Ayurveda, they may have heard of Pitta, Vata, and Kapha. So the Pitta in me, who is the fire and the fire and water energy, but specifically the fire. The fire is the energy of transformation. It's assimilation, and that's the one that gave me the purpose and the direction, right? The direction to follow. That intuition, that call that I felt like this is what I want for my life, and this is what I need to do now. That doesn't mean it's been without obstacles or easy or anything like that, especially when you have a family and little kids. And when you go back to studying and all that, with lots of weekends, lots and lots of weekends that I had to get, my husband staying home with the kids so I could go to my classes, and very long hours of studying and doing externship and all of that. So it doesn't come without sacrifices, but it's the same thing with self-care. It's just like the idea of putting the self-care first. My self-care has included investing in myself and learning those things for me first, and then so I could feel empowered to share this with everybody. And we always say that knowledge is power. Self-knowledge is self-empowerment, and like bringing that to my life and offering it as a tool to my girls, right? I have 2 daughters. So to my girls and then everybody else in my family, to be able to share this wisdom, which is so ancient and not new at all, but it's out there. And just like finding that again, which I'm sure I've, encountered it in many other lives, but just the more I learn about myself, the more things make sense. And the world, as I look at like Ayurveda, basically gave me a manual for life. I always wanted to we asked what's the meaning of life? How do we do this? Right? Here's a manual. There's when I started learning about it, we're like, oh, if I look at the world through the lenses of Ayurveda and all the qualities and the elements, I can understand. I know I can actually understand from 2 perspectives, right? The rational perspective, using reason, but I can also understand it using intuition, right? And so for me, it just married intuition and reason in a way that is just so beautiful, because it is a science too. And having this understanding, it was clear to me that I needed, it ignited the fire and the passion for me to learn more. So no matter what the obstacles, I'm like, that's what I'm going to do, and I hope that I can teach that as well to other people. And I know it's easier for some than others, like a lot of people that have maybe more of a Vata constitution, while they have many ideas and they want to do them all. It's hard sometimes to focus on 1 or 2 and actually execute them. But there are ways. And Ayurveda teaches you that, all of that. Like once you know about yourself and you know your characteristics and your tendencies and what takes you off balance and what brings you back to balance, then you can use tools that come in so many formats, from, everything you can find in nature, herbs and aromas, food, which is a major thing, and exercise, yoga, meditation, jams, crystals, metals, like everything that we have is a remedy, for everything in the world. For every ailment, there is a medicine, and Ayurveda gives you all kinds of tools. And then you choose the one that's more appropriate to you, like the one that speaks to you, and then you use that. And that would help you pursue then your goals, whatever they are.
Wow. I'm just getting so excited listening to you talk, because I know we share so many philosophies. I know we've been in these lives together.
Yes.
Dancing and singing and crystals and makeup.
Yep.
Listening to you talk, there's so much divinely feminine sort of magic, right? That the 2 of us have always connected on. Crystals, essential oils, herbs, the sort of magical spiritual elements of connecting to nature. And you just said a word that really is something that I hear a lot when I talk to women. It's the word sacrifice. And listening to you talk, I just got this idea that, and I've had this before, is that the sacrifice doesn't have to be a painful sort of event or choice. listening to you talk about how you have created and manifested all of this beauty within your life to share with the world around you, and that starts with your daughters, it's been a
Mhm.
divine sacrifice for
That's
you to step
beautiful.
into
That's
your
really beautiful
divine
to put it.
purpose.
Mhm,
Thank you,
mhm.
baby. So it's like stepping into your divine purpose. And one thing that I'd mentioned before we hit the record button was it comes out in your interview,
Mhm,
this desire to sort of
mhm.
heal the bloodline, that you didn't
Yes.
have a model for
Mhm,
following your greatest and highest good, but that you know this is crucial to pass on to your daughters. Can you talk
mhm.
more about that?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's in we hear a lot about a woman's work, right? In terms of throughout generations of being the one responsible for the house and the raising the children and cooking and cleaning and taking care of everyone else. But we haven't seen a woman's work as part, taking care of herself. And I mean, today, of course, we do, but it hasn't been a part of, what what we see through history, even. So I had, I mean, I still have, my mom is alive, and my mother has always been the one who was been doing the woman's work, and like cleaning and cooking and taking care of others. She always, I as a witness, like, she always sacrificed her needs and her wants and her desires to put everybody else in the family first. Whether it was like in serving ourselves, like we were to eat and then she would eat, like whatever it was. I've always seen that. And as a daughter, I want my mother to be happy, I want my mother to be healthy, I want her to take care of herself, right? But it has to also come from her. And so when I became a mother, especially of two girls, and it was, I grew up with a sister as well, so it was very close to home, right? Very similar, same age differences, and I'm like, I am choosing different, right? I want my daughters, and like, yes, I believe in like, when I became a mother, and that was not just something that was that resonated with me, but it resonated with my husband too. We wanted the kids to become part of our lives and not vice versa, right? Us completely changing to then become a part of what they were creating, because they're the ones who chose us as parents. We were here first. So as our children came into our lives and I became a mother, and that was a new role I was playing in my life, right? In the as a character. Now I'm playing the role of the mother. Besides that, I'm still my own person. And so I want my kids to see that in action, because I believe that setting an example, like, I can talk about it as much as I want, but if I don't show it, if I don't walk my talk, it will not be as effective, right? For me, it's also not going to be true. Like, I can say wonderful things about meditation, mindfulness, but if I don't practice, then, like, what's the point, right? So walking my talk has been really important. And so showing my daughters that I'm putting myself first, and then I can take care of their needs, right? So whether it was like, okay, I need, simple things for, like, I need 5 minutes right now. So I'm closing my room and do not interrupt me. Of course, when they're babies and toddlers, it's a little harder. But at some point, as they start growing, like, to explain, like, I need this time for myself, or they ask for something, I will help you as soon as I am done with this, because this is important for me right now. And I'm doing this first. To saying that, to actually going and spending a whole weekend, multiple weekends out of the house studying Ayurveda, or taking my courses, or traveling for my retreats, without the feeling of, and it is hard not to feel guilty for not being there taking care of your kids while you are learning something else. But ultimately, I always knew that I was doing the best for them by being out of the house, because as much as I needed time away from them, they also need time away from me. And all of that, because life is all about balance. And that's also something that Ayurveda brings to you. We can't, for me, the ideal situation is like women's work, which is a feminine work, being the nurturer and the caretaker. It is a feminine energy, but we have wonderful, fathers and husbands that carry that energy, of that feminine energy, that are also the caretakers and that take care of the kids. And if I didn't have a partner that shared that with me, it would have been a lot harder. So I do want to give credit as well to my husband, because if it wasn't for his support in pursuing this, I would still have done it, but it would have been harder. I would have made it even more of a point, like, this is what I'm doing. But it never became a problem in terms of, like, I would just like, okay, this weekend I'm here, this weekend I'm doing that. So we would arrange our calendars to make everything work. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful combination of then me pursuing that, but also then taking on some masculine qualities, and then him taking some feminine qualities of, creating our household and being there for our kids in the best possible way. We support each other in that sense. But it's hard as a woman not to feel guilty, so many times. But every time I have felt guilty, I have also realized that maybe that is something being imposed by society or coming from my ancestors, and and that I knew, like, stops now, or I understand this feeling. I know where it's coming from, but I choose to let go of it because I can see that it doesn't serve my higher self.
What a beautiful perspective to share. Honor the feelings, work with them, validate them, but really understand where they are coming from so that you can transform and transmute them into something really functional and energizing.
Yeah,
I love it.
absolutely.
And I can give your husband props too. I love your husband.
He's a good one.
Well, I guess just to close our interview, and thank you so much for gifting me this time. Thank you for trusting me enough with your story and for being a part of this entire project. I love you so much, and it is my honor to get to honor you and all of the ladies and all of the women who read this book. I mean, we are goddesses, right? And we need each other. And that's my hope with this book, that we can recalibrate that sort of dedication to ourselves and the relationship woman to woman. One of the things that you said, and I'm directly quoting you, is that life is not just about restrictions and reactions. So I guess in closing, how does that play out for you? I know you've already touched on this beautifully in a lot of ways, but is there anything you can add to that when it comes to expanding on that statement?
Absolutely. I mean, we can't stop the world from turning and things, from happening. Things will always be happening around us. And we have a tendency to think that things are happening to us all the time. So shifting that perspective to things are happening for us, right? And being able to become an observer. So theater and meditation and Ayurveda have given me this gift of, I am an observer as well as a player. So I can watch the action. I can see what's happening and then choose a course of action. So having reaction is not being the observer when something happens and you just react, right? Whether it's to a stressful situation or good or bad things happening to you. If you react without being conscious, then it's a reaction, and then you're restricted to that world. You're not a conscious being. So you need to become a conscious being. And that's what theater, meditation, and Ayurveda brought to my life. And that's how I apply it. So just as an example, the current situation we're living in right now, this, world crisis, I could just react to it, allow fear and anxiety to take over. There's been many challenges for us during this time, in terms of the course of our lives and our families and jobs. But I can also just observe it. I'm like, I see what's happening, and then I can choose to act in a different way. And that gives me freedom. So there is no restriction in terms of that. So things will keep happening. I cannot control that, right? Because change is a constant. We know that. But to be able to become conscious of that, then it gives you the gift to adapt to change as quickly as possible, because that's when you can then move forward, right? So it's
Beautiful
just, yeah,
equation.
becoming conscious really is the main purpose of it all. And then you're not reacting and you're not restricted anymore. You're limitless, you're pure potential. You are a co-creator of your own experience in lives. It doesn't matter what's happening outside. You know, it's how you feel on the inside, and the, you know, chaos can be swirling around, but you can still be in a state of peace. And that's a choice. It's not easy, not an easy choice, but it's a choice. And it comes with training and practice, of course.
Gosh, Maria, that's such a beautiful way to look at things, and something I'm going to start to incorporate more into my life. Well, okay, so how do our readers, our fellow Soul Sisterhood sisters, our goddesses on this Facebook page, how do we find you and work with
Yes.
you and be able to experience all these gifts that are Maria?
Yay. Well, I am on social media. There's a website also, atomicaarts.com, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you just search for Atomica Arts, or you go to the bio as well directly, where you can read more about me, but then click directly onto all those links to find out. I constantly post opportunities of like upcoming courses that I am teaching, but also just I put a lot of content out there, just, you know, things that sometimes I find important that I want to share with the world. And this has been currently the best way to share now that we are physically, you know, isolating and distancing ourselves. We can still connect through the internet. So that's the easiest way to find me as well. And hopefully eventually soon, we will be able to all be in each other's presence again.
Yeah, back IRL, right?
Mm-hmm.
In real life. Well, okay, so to clarify,
Mm-hmm.
the website or the bio that Maria's talking about is on the Soul to Sisterhood website. So that's
Mm-hmm.
www.soul-to-sisterhood.com. And if you go under the Goddesses tab and scroll down, you'll see Maria's bio. And yes, you can read more about her, but there are direct links to all of her social
Mm-hmm.
media sites and her website. I follow Maria. I love what she posts, and I have taken her classes. Maria was so just inspiring this past fall, and you did 30 unique classes
Mm-hmm.
in 10 weeks, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Yeah, so it was,
Yes, with the same theme of the week, but viewed from different perspectives, using theater, meditation, and Ayurveda to talk about the same theme and the same content. Yeah,
they were
it was a
beautiful.
great and fun, challenging undertaking. Gave me a lot of information, and I loved doing that, and I want to do it again as well. You know, phase 2 of that.
Well, I was lucky enough to get to take most of the Ayurvedic classes on
Mm-hmm.
Wednesdays, and I took a couple of the applied theater classes on Tuesday, and they were wonderful. So I
Thank
can't wait for
you.
us to get to a place where you can offer those again. All
Yeah.
right. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I just want to say, keep, you know, for everybody to, you know, keep finding ways to be good to themselves and be kind to themselves, and then everything else will fall into place. And if I can be of any service, do reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to talk to anyone about anything.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
being a part of this
you.
project, honey. Namaste. Thank you for being part of
Thank you.
the interviews as well. It's been awesome, and I can't wait to get back to getting together in real life with you.
I know. Soon it's going to happen.
It will. All right, sweetie. I'm going to click us off of record, and then we will still be connected.
Yes. Thank